So the next panel will look at another hot topic, as I just mentioned, because this topic has the potential to change everything, change the way how we pay, change the way how we bank, change the way how we select and pay our insurance, and a lot more. It is about the rise of these super apps. Yes, taking on that aggregator role. And to talk about this topic, we have an exquisite moderator for you. He's the Vice President e-strategy of Saman Bank and a business mentor and VC of Level 39. He has more than 25 years of practical experience in finance and technology, exactly that intersection that we need right now, and has been advising and supporting banks, financial institutions, and startups for many, many years. He's the author of numerous international books and management technical courses, and also an international speaker on the latest 10 trending topics in technology and finance conferences all around the world. So please give a warm welcome to Farshad Nowshadi. Welcome. Welcome.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hope you're all well and awake. Right, it's my honor to talk about the Super App. And to do that, I've got a lovely panel. I'd like to, first of all, invite them on stage. Welcome, everyone. Hi. So I'd just like to get the ball rolling by talking about Super Apps. Wow. What an amazing event that's now taking place around the world. I think it was really pioneered by the Chinese company WeChat. WeChat, I mean, in many, many ways, we used to think about China trying to sort of catch up or copy westernized technology. But in some ways, I'm now seeing, in terms of my mentoring work, so many of our startups in Europe and America are trying to copy and catch up with Chinese initiative. And one of the great initiatives was WeChat, the way they're now providing a multi-super app, providing multi-series of services. And I think now you're seeing many, many, many other companies in the West are now thinking, hey, we got to wake up. We got to provide more for our customers. We got to provide convenience. And I think that the super app is something that we're going to see more and more of. I never forget the time I was so excited when I actually I went to another website and I saw Pay with Google. I thought, oh my God. So I just clicked on Pay with Google. All my existing delivery address, my payment details just came in, but I was on another website. This is an example of maybe how some technology has been exported to other types of websites. Or the other approach is when you get services coming into your app, like we saw, for example, I don't know, Uber is now providing Uber delivery. Uber is now providing, of course, share car services and many other things. We're going to talk more about this. But I think super apps are fantastic because they're going to provide convenience. One simple method, you can reutilize your credibility, maybe you utilize your home address, you utilize your banking details. They have to keep re-entering it every time you go to different sites. Or if the other approach is when these services come into within your own super app. I think, and I would love to sort of discuss this very much about, I think super apps is really where it's at. It's all about convenience, reliability, simple experiences for the customer. And I think today it's all about how do we provide single, seamless, convenient experience for our customers. So having said that, I'm very, very excited about that. The only question is, of course, everybody's trying to become a super app. So now we've got multiple super apps, multiple way of paying for your bills, multiple way of, for example, maybe ordering certain services. Having said all that, I'd like to each one of you maybe just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you come from and what your company is doing in terms of the super app environment. So let's start up with Roberto. Welcome, Roberto.
Right. Thank you.
Off you go.
Thank you, everyone. Roberto, CEO of BioMoney in Bahrain, 30 years experience in banking in several continents, then fintech consultancy. I changed my role when I started developing all the fintech and technology aspects, and all this has been brought to the development of BioMoney. BioMoney is owned by a telco company in Bahrain, Telco, and we launched in January 2022 with the clear proposition and strategy to launch a super app. Where we as super app on day one, no, we use one license and one product. Now we have six licenses, six products and financial services, and we are expanding something and I'm happy to discuss there.
Grazie. Okay, Jamal.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamal Al-Awadi. So I'm the COO for Bank, and I look after everything front to back when it comes to the operational side of the business. Bank is the region's first platform bank. We have three key focus areas: banking apps, as some of you may have already experienced, embedded finance, and banking as a service. So when I think about super apps, I believe that we are really building what will be the future of what a super app could look like. A platform bank bringing together not just financial services and banking services, but services that extend beyond banking.
Excellent. I'm very excited to see companies like Bank. Wish you the very best. I think this market really needed more neobanks to come and provide a greater experience and convenience. Excellent. Shake the market up.
That's
Excellent. Well done. Rishi Kant?
Yeah.
You're not related to the Prime Minister, Rishi, are you?
Yeah.
Vice President of State Bank of India. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm RK Shastri, VPN head, digital transformation in SBM. Before jumping into the super app, let me set the context in a simpler way. I believe keeping the things very simple instead of using the jargon.
Excellent. I'm very excited to see what's happened in India. It's funny, 5, 10 years ago, there was everything basically a cash-based society, but today, e-cash has exploded. It's an amazing event. Thank you very much for that. So, Ahmed, would you like to just introduce yourself and tell us really more about it?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Ahmed Abu Aida, CEO of Investbank and a survivor, 31 years in the industry. Of course, we're going into very heavily into super apps. We're fixing our back end, of course, and what we're doing is we're changing our core banking system as we speak to be the country's first ever full cloud native, full SaaS with AI embedded in our core to actually, when we do launch our super apps, actually make the impact that we want. So this is in a nutshell. Thank you.
Excellent. Really, my aim here today is to sort of inspire for all of you to think about what's the advantage of super app. Is it something I can add to my services to my customer? Because a customer today just wants to do more with less, wants convenience. And super apps are a way upon which you can actually provide more services to your customer in a seamless way. Less clutter, less clicking on things. So what I want to talk about really very much is the fundamental advantages of super app and why that could be such an advantage in terms of your competition. Because really, at the end of the day, it's a very, very competitive world. You've got to ask yourself, what makes your product or what makes your service better than the next person's service? Well, one of the functionalities could be that they could do more with you. And as I said, I think there's two different approaches. You can maybe take some of your functionality and make it available to other people's services. So it's like a seamless, but your service is seen through one unified service through multiple other types of websites. Or you could do what they do and bring it inside your app, which is more challenging. So what I like to do is really let's talk about the advantages of the super app to the customer. Well, then we'll maybe look at some of the disadvantages of the regulatories. But I'd like to maybe each one of you to talk about why it's exciting, the super app. And also, what is it you guys are doing and how you see the advantages? Go ahead. Let's start up with Roberto.
So again, same rules. Obviously, a super app has an advantage for the clients, but let's be honest, right? We are financial institutions, so it has an advantage also for us. I remember when I started working in banks many, many years ago, if you remember, the concept was we need to try to have as much engagement with the clients. And at that time, you were calculating how many products each client was going to use. And you would consider more or less a client reasonably profitable for a financial institution if you had 3.5 products each. And what changed in the last decade is the clients are no longer loyal. The concept of loyalty doesn't exist. Doesn't exist in financial institution, doesn't exist in entertainment. You have an element of choice, you have options, and as a result, clients tend to pick and choose whatever they like, being financial institutions and so forth. So the super app has the aim to try to bring back the clients to one-stop shop, regardless if they are financial services or they are entertainment, their engagement, if they are gamification, earn to gain, interplay, and so forth. This is the most difficult aspect because obviously there's a lot of competition out there. So how do we attract the clients and make sure that they are in one spot? So as of today, our clients can use our cards. They can remit money abroad. They can invest money with us. We also have a license for investment. Or can also have open banking, have a personal financial solution where they understand exactly what they do with their money. Now, once they do with their money, I always say it's kind of useless for me, the PFN, a personal financial manager. You tell clients how much money have you spent in the last month or so. Guess what? More or less as a client, I know, right? And I don't change my behavior constantly. I don't change my spending behavior constantly. So if you tell me over and over and over what I've done after 1 or 2 months or 3 months, most likely I don't even use that. But if on top of that behavior, I suggest to clients anything else which is related to lifestyle, which is closer to the lifestyle of each one of us, which is as an individual constantly different, then at that point I'm able to add experience components, entertainment component, travel components, shopping components in one-stop shop. And guess what? At the end, whatever we do ultimately ends up in a payment, right? Or in a lending activity. So if I provide a financial service outside of my decisional journey, when I'm deciding to do something, then of course that element of payment can be done by anybody else. If in terms of embedded finance or super app, that moment of decision, how do I pay for this, is already embedded in a journey that I'm completing, then at that point, most likely I'll be able to wrap. This is what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Grazie. Jamal, same question.
So with Weo, the way we look at it, again, going back to our platform banking nature, is bringing in the right services that our customers consume. In the case of our business banking or our SME customers, we know what they spend most of their time doing when they have to manage their banking. They're doing a handful of things. Either they're making, and so within the Weo platform and within the app, customers can, of course, have access to all their financial information, but also make payments, pay salaries, start to create invoices on the platform, send them out to the customers with payment links back, and be able to track who's paid me, who hasn't, send up follow-up reminders, put away money automatically for VAT, automatically put away money for large spends. So they don't have to worry when it's rent is due or there's a new piece of equipment that they need to get. The money, it's not a surprise, it's not a shock factor. They're really, and that's happening, they're really managing their money well. I need to finish that. But then they're offloaded from the day to day, having multiple users be able to manage their account with different levels of authority. I think, and being able to, of course, track and audit everything. So starting to bring in elements of non-banking services, not traditional banking services, but bringing in that security, that trust, that confidence that usually comes with banking services, I think is really important.
Thank you very much. Rushi?
Actually, till the time our turn comes, every points are covered. Anyways, I guess there are three attributes when it comes to customer these days: localization, personalization, and visualization. I guess all three attributes can be taken care if I get into super app.
Thank you very much. Ahmed?
Well, I think what we need to clarify here is what is a super app? Are we talking about your regular application and adding the word super to it? Or are we actually in the financial services industry? Are we adding loads of non-financial services? Is that what we're doing? If that's not what we're doing, then it's a glorified app. That's what it is. It's like any other mobile app with all the bells and whistles. Now, I've listened to the esteemed colleagues. I do agree to a very large extent with Mr. Roberto, with one exception that we don't see the loyalty anymore. Um, where, when we look at a brick and mortar bank like ourselves today, we find the bedrock, the cornerstone to our operations are very loyal customers, partners, the way I like to call them. But how do I differentiate myself from the rest? I need to provide something that's not really out there in the market. It becomes very difficult because everyone else is doing the same. Now, do I want to brand it as a glorified app or a real super app? That is a very important question. I think most banks have the same, more or less, the same products and services to a large extent. So where do banks compete? We compete on pricing, but there's a limit to how much we can cut our pricing. We compete on our product offering. More or less, most banks offer the same products. Very important, we compete on client experience. Extremely important. In a world which is very rapidly converting into digital channels, what happens then? We lose touch with those loyal, and they're not a few, there are plenty of very loyal customers, partners that have been with a financial organization for many years. What do we provide them, and what do we provide Generation Z and millennials? We can't fool. I can't really give them a glorified app with a few more bells and whistles and say this is a super app, because it's not. Now, if I don't actually go into the very difficult job of identifying needs and applying those needs to a real super app, where I do have an open environment for APIs to plug and play, and I provide those non-financial services. To Roberto's point, at the end, transactions end up with a financial transaction, mostly paying for a theater ticket, paying for a cinema ticket, paying for a cruise. But why would a bank want to go there? I mean, there are specialized companies that do it. There are there are entities that have much more data than any bank. In the UAE, if I look at the telcos, if I look at Etisalat, for example, they're a very clear sample of a huge entity that has infinite data. But do we really have today, looking at the banking scene, some banks, and with my due respect to all my colleagues, do claim that they have these super apps today. To what I have in mind, I actually didn't see the wow factor myself. Super app, non-financial services, in addition to the all the full-fledged financial service any bank should provide anyway. So what are we looking at? We need to define. We need to define something. And what I'm looking at is providing a lovely lifestyle experience on a super app. Paying insurance, premiums, paying my DIWA bill, those are normal services provided by any app.
Thank you very much. Yes, very comprehensive response. Thank you very much. You're absolutely right. I think what is meant by super app, I think it's an ambiguous term. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about Web3, the metaverse, and that is also another area of ambiguity. Exactly what are we talking about? I think it's sort of ongoing. So you're absolutely right. And I want to now concentrate more about some of the problems. But I do want to say is that sometimes it's good to develop a super app from something that people are already doing. I can add value. For example, I'm just thinking of Uber. Uber traditionally was a taxi ride service, and they thought, hey, well, if we do taxis, why don't we also do food? Uber for food came about, basically utilizing. So they're utilizing their own type of delivery services. You don't want to end up being jacks of all trade and master of none, doing everything in a bad way. Saying, oh, we do this, nothing really done well. So I think it's very, very important that you select what you want to do, how you can build up on your technology, but provide a seamless, great service. It's something that the customer cannot get in other places. I mean, another way to looking at it is to look at the super apps from a different perspective. I'm very excited about what Google Pay and Apple Pay are doing. They're not just payments, but you can now put your loyalty cards from your supermarkets into it. You can put your ticket for your airline You can put your train ticket in there. And right now, apparently, some states, you can put your driving license in there. Soon, you'll be able to put your passports in there. So that's another way of looking at sort of super apps from adding more and more functionality. These are the big technology companies coming into all sorts of different areas. So what I like to do now is maybe concentrate a bit on the negative aspects. As I said, the danger of saying, oh, we do everything and nothing correctly. So the question is, how do you pick? How do you make what is relevant? What makes the relevant super app something to add to your customers, and don't just follow like everyone else like sheep, just say we do this as well, which causes confusion. So go ahead, Roberto.
Well, your point is valid. Obviously, the app, super app, can be extremely risky for who builds a super app. A super app, unless it's prepared from the architectural point of view, technological point of view, in a very savvy way, it can be extremely expensive, and it can be also extremely dangerous because more data you have, more exposure you have to the data protection, and as a consequence, also has a huge cost. But unless you build a super app with a proper architecture, the risk is that you will not be able to have the proper return on investment you have made. Also, because there's one element. Clients have the tendency to perceive, compared to the brick and mortar, that whatever we give, it doesn't cost anything. Right? Why should I pay for a super app? Why should I pay for a financial service? Why shouldn't I get miles back? Why should I get cash back? Why shouldn't I get the best possible offer? Like if whatever is in the device has no resources, no infrastructure, no clients, no regulations to be expected. So we need to be absolutely careful in providing solution, which is absolutely appealing to the clients, but at the same time also is a very efficient from your side. So scale is important, but also how you reach that scale in order to build an infrastructure which is not too expensive. Otherwise, the business is not sustainable on the long run. The second element is, uh, you're right. I mean, what do we build, right? If it's, I think it's always like a test and learn. As a client, if I have this audience of clients, and assuming that you all have the super app of your money, I don't know who you are. I don't know exactly what you like. If you like to spend, if you like to save, if you like to travel, if you like to be entertained, if you like to go out, I don't know. But the data will tell me what you like, right? And this is what we have to build as an ecosystem, and also based on the example Ash was mentioning. We need to be able, from the data, to provide you with what you like and not what we like to impose. I don't believe in the model which is product driven, but I believe in the model which is client driven. What I mean by that, take the Netflix approach. I always make example. Netflix, I have no idea if you like adventure, drama, comedy, entertainment, sci-fi, but you know that if you go to Netflix, or if you go to Apple TV, if you go to Amazon TV, you'll find what you like. As long as I put a container where at one point in your lifetime, you will pick and choose something and make available, you will take it. But I have to make sure that in that container, all that kind of offer is ready. This is valid for entertainment, it's valid for financial services. But again, unless you have a proper optimization of the financial services they provide, making sure that cost to serve is not too high, to make sure that the entire profitability that we got is sufficient, then the model of the super app is not sustainable.
Grazie. So Jamal, all over to you.
Try to keep this on 2 minutes. Okay, so a couple areas on the data side where there's potentially some negativity. If you have a breach, you now not only access one service data from one service, you now can access data from across all the services that are being provided. There is some element of I guess where the brand identity is lost. So when you bring in additional services, you may potentially lose and dilute some of that brand value when you bring it into a super app, and that's a slight con. With additional services, you bring additional value to your customer, but you also introduce additional complexity in supporting that, right? Customer service and customer experience is critical, and it's one of the reasons why I strongly believe that WEO has set ourselves apart outside of our inherent nature of what we've built. But the people aspect and being able to serve our customers effectively can get challenging as you bring in more and more services. So it's not just about let's connect the world. Let's connect elements that really truly add value.
Shukran. Rashid?
That's what I said. Till the time my turn comes, every point's already covered. Anyway, so yeah, we already spoken about the data.
Like to swap places.
No, I'm going to make sure that last point also I'll make, so you won't get any point, and then you may contradict that. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, data point. Of course, if something goes wrong, there is a breach of security. As sir rightly pointed out, it's very difficult to get every functionality under one roof. interface per se, user interface per se. So striking a right balance, very difficult to achieve. So people do get complicated, get confused that where is my relationship over you, where is my insurance, or where is my that lifestyle. At times that interface design is very difficult. But one more critical point which I say is a limitation of super apps is performance. You require now decent bandwidth because now your app is very heavy, loaded with lot of features. Maybe in a metro tier 1 cities, all good. But consider the tier 2, tier 3 cities. I don't think you will able to get that connectivity, that network, at least now. Because I'm talking about banking as a whole. So that's a limitation. My app is too loaded. I'm not able to get that performance and which is directly correlated with user experience. So yeah, striking a right balance between a performance, security, and user experience, that's the key.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ahmed?
Thank you. If you don't really need a super app, just don't do it. You don't need it. You cannot be a jack of all aces, as you rightly said, sir.
That's fine. Thank you very much. So I think sort of to start to wrapping things up, I'd like to hear how you see the future with the super app. Where are we going? What will our children and grandchildren be seeing maybe 10, 20 years' time? I've got my vision. I'll talk about it afterwards, but I'd love to hear your perspective and just sort of finishing things off. Roberto?
It's a learning curve. It's just the beginning, and like all the beginning, there will be some failure and some success. I think that the future super app will be only successful if we are able to strike the right balance between financial and non-financial services. We try to make a super app which is like a supermarket of financial services only. That would be fundamentally boring. Nobody would be appealed. If you try to go the other way around, and as I said, you start from the customer journey. Customer journey means whatever we do normally in our life, and then you embed some financial services in it in a seamless way, then probably that would be successful.
Thank you. Jamal?
So when it comes to the future, I think the trends are uh, leveraging open banking, looking at connecting in not just the single financial institution and the services that they offer, but also others in addition to the ecosystem of services that our customer who uses in their daily life, as well as what they need for their business or their investments. The other area where I think a decision has to come in is where financial institutions need to just decide whether they're going to be in the front, or they're going to be the face of this, or they're going to sit in the back, build the infrastructure and allow services to build onto it, right? And open that up in a managed way.
Excellent. Thank you.
Completely echo with the speakers. I will slightly contradict with the speaker on my left hand side. We have a classic example of Nokia's and Kodak's of the world. What they did do is they didn't innovate. And as a result of their from leader, they were lagger. So we cannot continue as a brick and mortar or traditional. This is need of an hour. The only, old traditional nomenclature of phrase we have. Change is the only thing which remains constant. So yes, super app has to be adopted because that's a need of an hour. As a traditional people or as a traditional folks, I'm happy for brick and mortar, but ask millennial customers, they want everything under single click, anything and everything. I'm not going to do business just on my traditional old chaps. I have to achieve, I have to adopt, I have to think of my young millennial users also. But as I said in my earlier speech, strike a right balance. So considering the future, staying in present and learning from the past, strike a right balance and adopt the changes.
Excellent.
Thank
Ahmed?
you. Thank you. So we could talk about uh, open banking, but in 20 years' time, uh, as per the question, we won't be in any sort of open banking environment because it's already long gone. But the world is heading into an open data economy. That is for sure. 20 years' time, whether it would be a mobile app, I doubt. I honestly can't imagine in 20 years' time what the medium of exchange would be, but it would be fully integrated across all sectors, including financial services and non-financial services, with central pools of data that distribute and support the ecosystem and environment. That's how it would look like in 20 years. Thinking, as far as possible I can. And of course, you're entitled to disagree. That's great. But I stick to the point where specialization and being known to be good at one thing is much better than doing 10 things without being good at them. So with that, I hope I've answered. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Just my vision of the future is probably very much in line. This is something I don't know whether I'll see maybe for my children, grandchildren. I think that there will not be a super app, multiple islands. This super app, you can pay your bill. This super app, you can also pay your bill. This super app, you can also pay your bill. And each one of them can do lots and lots of things. But I can decide I want to go on this island or this island. Define my details. But yes, my detail can be used many, many different ways. I think that the future is going to be distributed finance. I'm talking about, to figure the opportunity at 10 past 3 tomorrow with the digital currencies. I'll be talking about the future of digital wallet, smart contracts, all the things associated up. I will be the repository. I will have my financial details. I'll have my credit ratings, and then other people can provide all the services to me. Not that I define one service of Amazon and then Amazon can use it in multiple different ways. I will contain the information, and then that will become my super app. And I will then store my assets, and everyone else will have to say, want to talk to me? Here is my data. I don't have to physically type my delivery details or my credit card details. Just pick it up, and I will give permission. The wallet becomes the main heart of the super app. And then every other financial services have to compete in a standard way using my data. I think that's like the big vision that we're going through. Intermediate, before we get that, we got this idea of adding value through these sort of proprietary types of, but I see that as a short term. That's for what it's worth. Could be a load of, I don't know. That's what I think could happen. Anyway, I'm not sure if we got time for a question, Big Boss. No, we haven't. Oh, I'm sorry. But I hope at least that gives you some idea of how important super apps are. It's all about adding value, adding functionality, adding convenience to your customer. If it really makes sense, if it really is adding something that the customer didn't get, don't just do it because it looks good, just for marketing. Because at the end of the day, the customer said, this is crap, this is not good enough. I'm going to use it some other ways. Don't delete yourself. But if you could add extra functionality on what you have, that will give you a great commercial advantage. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much to this excellent moderation. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Also, thank you very much to the panel. Great discussion.